a text message blew up my entire life. It was 2008, and it was a normal day. I was married to my high school sweetheart. We had been together for 16 years. I had spent the whole day home with my twins because I was a stay-at-home mom, and they were about a year old, so, covered in a little spit up, making the baby food, cooking dinner. My 5-year-old son was, doing what 5-year-old sons do. And that day, as I was folding laundry, I was watching the Oprah show. It was kind of my tradition. And it felt like the most ordinary day you can ever imagine. My husband came home from work like he always did. He sat down for dinner, home-cooked meal like he always did. And when he went in to take a shower after dinner, I had this thought. Ladies, do you believe in women's intuition? Yes? So I'd been watching the Oprah show, remember, earlier in the day, and the topic of the show was how to know if your spouse is cheating. And I was like, I don't need that shit. My husband would never do that. I had never in my life had the thought. I had never in my life had that moment of intuition. But there was this split second when my whole body went cold, and I thought, wasn't one of those topics, where is his phone? And I thought, you know what? I don't know the last time I've seen this man's phone. Is that weird? They usually charge side by side on the counter. The second I had that thought, I knew. Women's intuition. I hope you've never been there, ladies. I hope to God you've never been there. But if you have, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I knew what I would find, and I knew who it would be from. And so I went, put a movie on for my 5-year-old son in the farthest room from the shower, put my twins in their crib, went into the shower. His phone was hiding in the clothes he was about to put on. I was like, oh, here we go. I opened up the phone, and an unread text message said, I can't wait till you're finally free. All mine, no more sharing. Smiley face. I went in, turned the water off on his shower, and said, get the fuck out. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how I was going to survive. But I knew that was not going to be okay with me. He got out of the shower. He put on his clothes, soaking wet still covered in soap, not even trying to, save himself at that moment. He simply went in, kissed our kids goodbye, threw his wedding ring at me, and walked out the door. My life as I knew it, everything I ever knew about my life, since I was 16 years old, blew up in a matter of 10 minutes. That might seem to be an exaggeration, but I promise you it is not. I filed for divorce a couple days later, but that night, I remember when the kids were asleep, laying on the hardwood floors of our crappy little rental house. We had lost our home in foreclosure the year before. That was the housing crisis. We had had to file bankruptcy after the twins were born. I literally had nothing. I'd been a stay-at-home mom for the past several years, hadn't worked. Everything that we had was in my husband's name, the car, the bank accounts, everything. I didn't have $5 to my name. And I just remember laying on the floor, face stuck to the wood because I'd been crying for so long and so dehydrated. And as we do, ladies, I had been trying to think of how to solve this problem. Even laying on the floor, I was just like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get a job? Where are the kids going to go to daycare? Going through all of these options, and every one I was running through just seemed impossible. Now remember, this was 2008, and back then, there was really no social media. So the people that we knew were people that we actually knew in real life. Remember that? Some of you are probably a little bit too young to remember the olden days like that. But this was true. I probably knew 50 people in my whole life, right? and not one of them had ever been through anything like this. That's crazy, but I actually did not know one person who had gone through a divorce back then, which is mind-blowing, right? So of course, I'm laying on the floor thinking, I am the only woman ever in the history of the world to go through something like this, and I don't know what to do tomorrow. I don't know how to get up off this floor. And nothing that I'm trying to think of to solve this is going to work. And I just kept on saying, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And in that moment, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it your inner voice, whatever you want to call it. As clear as day, a voice came back to me and said, "What if you can?"